Hi, it's Brad for bradthepainter.com, and this goes along with the post about converting oak or pine or any kind of wood trim or MDF, any sort of anything that they use for wood these days, and converting it into a painted white trim. It's a three-step process. I'm not counting cleanup. It's not that difficult, but it has to be done well. It has to be done right. Otherwise, what will happen is, and I've seen some painters just come in and just this. I think you can see the gloss on this oak. Painters will just come in and put some. Maybe they put a primer or not. And there's people are just selling their house. They just want it to look white. And what will happen is you'll come along with your fingernail and just scratch all that off. And so what has to happen in all the rooms that were painted like that? All that paint has to be removed, and it's really a terrible thing to do to the future owners. They won't have any idea. The inspector probably won't even find it. He'll be looking at the water heater and things like that. So here I have a piece of oak. One's been done, one hasn't been done. I wanted to point out this knot here is intensely is full of I guess you would say sap. And I think the right word is tannins and resins, and you need a primer that's going to block that off. There's one way. I wanted to show these different primers, how you could go about this. Probably the one thing that won't work in this case. There's a product here. It's a very good product for bonding. It's called Stix, but it doesn't have any stain blocking power. So if you were to obviously the first step is deglossing, and that means sanding. And also I have here some liquid sandpaper by a company I actually haven't heard of, and I don't know how they get to use the name liquid sandpaper because I thought that was a trademark. Anyway, you would just degloss it with sandpaper. This stuff is so nasty that it's really not even necessary. You just need to just scratch it, and you're going to get much better bonding. There's not much to it. If you open this, you're gonna poison everyone in the house for a long time. You could open all the windows, of course. Wear a respirator. It's never far away. You need a really good respirator doing things like this, because this stuff will shorten your life, and it's not worth that. If you could put Stix on it, or you could put some other kind of primer that doesn't promise any stain blocking, but it promises bonding, but that's not good enough in this case. Bin is a shellac-based primer. It's full of, it's alcohol-based. It's white pigmented shellac is what it is. And after I've prepped this, I've sanded, deglossed, I could put Bin on there, and that would be an absolutely excellent. Or there's a product. Oh gosh, I can't think of the name of it right now. It's also shellac. I can't think of the name of it, but because I always use Bin. But that would be a great primer. It would seal all these knots, and they wouldn't bleed through at all. It's overkill, or overkills, as we used to say. There are some products made by kills. They're great products, but sometimes using something like that. To prime something that doesn't need a stain blocker, it's overkill. So in this case, we're changing varnished oak, or in this case, to a white wood. And in that case, you use one of two products. I don't have any Prime Lock here today, but I have my Aqua Lock. It's the same basic thing. This is a water base. Prime Lock has more power. That they can put. Oh gosh, I'm not a chemist, but they can put, being an alkyd, needing the alkyd, which stain blocking resin, I guess is what you say. In the Prime Block, they can put all they want, and it's the best. Aqua Lock is right underneath, and it's a water base. It's not nearly as smelly. Prime Lock is oil based. If you don't want the kind of smell around, Aqua Lock is the thing. So that's what I would do in this case. I would sand, I would use Aqua Lock, and then I wouldn't remember where all my knots were, but I would come along and I would check. And I would carry a small can of Bin and a small brush, and I would just hit the spots to make sure that all the stains were blocked, because bin never misses. However, there's a flaw with that, which is that Aqualock might seal this in for 1 year, and then slowly, just from moisture in the air and the wood aging, the stain in this knot is going to come through a primer that doesn't have that kind of stain blocking power into your final paint, which is usually white, and then you're going to see knots coming through. Not the best thing for a professional painter. You can always go around and touch them up in your home, but Primalock wouldn't happen. Aqualock, it's probably not going to happen. Lesser primers, that's going to happen. With like something like Stix, a great bonding primer, but it's not made for stain blocking. So that's the difference. So you need to read each label and see what does it promise in terms of stain blocking. All right, that's how we turn stained and varnished trim white. It's one of the posts on BradThePainter.com.